During the last 2 years and a half, Saturn transiting in Aquarius has emphasized how important mental authority is. On an energetic level, Saturn has shown us that structuring ideas is essential to create mental maps that takes us somewhere. Pluto's transit through Capricorn worked on archaic archetypes that are strongly rooted in the status quo and that create a mismatch between our personal desires for fulfillment and the possibilities of achievement offered by the reality in which we live. In other words, with Pluto in Capricorn, we have seen how our individual reality is more developed than social structures we still seek to homogenize to create order. Saturn's entry into Pisces occurs a couple of weeks before Pluto's entry into Aquarius on March 23. From my point of view, this astrological configuration greatly softens the effects of Pluto, at least for now. I have already mentioned in previous articles and videos that when Pluto entered Aquarius, it has generally come with revolutions and social explosions due to pressures against individual liberties. This happens every 248 years. Now, in 2023, Pluto enters Aquarius with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces can be translated as a cathedral, which can be built from the spirit or from escapist banality. This transit of Saturn will show us the spiritual reality of the present. Looking at it with a Piscean style, this can be translated as the shadow and the light, revealing hidden truths. With Saturn entering Pisces, a period of disillusionment is normal, as Saturn focuses on reality, and for Pisces, this means abandoning any escapist tendencies that make reality prettier. The path to mastery over illusion can feel like a bleak period as we resist letting go of the stories we tell ourselves in order to feel better. However, if we manage to connect with our personal reality and abandon the habit of sweetening what happens, we connect with something much more magical and mystical than anything we could imagine as a substitute. It is not easy to stop dreaming that things can be better because that is instantly gratifying. However, Saturn tells us that things will go better if we take our dreams seriously, and that requires patience, discipline, and effort. Of course, Saturn in Pisces can also show its dark side. Saturn speaks of effort, discipline, and commitment to our goals. Pisces speaks of dreams, imagination, inspiration, and the highest octave of beauty, something that connects us with the spiritual world. If we find it difficult to connect with the qualities of Saturn, its transits in Pisces can activate our desire to surrender to illusions and everything that leads us to escape from reality. It's not because we're more prone to it, but because Saturn, as the great teacher, will make us soak up that part of ourselves. In this way, Saturn can show us later, by contrast, that escapist side that has been hidden from our consciousness and that does not allow us to self-realize. Both Aquarius and Pisces are signs related to the transpersonal, the collective. Wherever Aquarius and Pisces are found in our birth chart, there we find psychological effects that go beyond mere individual consciousness. With Aquarius, we talk about social ideas, with Pisces of collective desires. Next, we will see how the transit of Saturn in Pisces can manifest in your personal life according to the Sun, your self-expression, the Moon, your emotional world, and the rising sign, your personal identity, Of course, the way we experience this transit has a lot to do with the relationship we have with Saturn in our birth chart and the aspects it receives from other planets. Each one will experience it in a personal and individual way. I recommend an astrological reading to make a personalized study of this transit. For the natives of Aries, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces can be experienced as a challenge. Saturn in Pisces asks us to internalize our emotions, something that Aries is not used to doing. We encounter emotional and spiritual challenges that need to be addressed responsibly. The focus on sensitivity can create a feeling of lack of energy for Aries. However, this happens to be able to go within. Our impulses and actions can arise from our unconscious or due to collective duties or responsibilities. For the independent Aries, this can be inconvenient. To avoid feeling pressured or even judged or coached, some form of spiritual or creative practice can be of great benefit. You may also feel a certain sadness that you don't know where it comes from. Get into your feelings and allow whatever comes up to flow. You may just be releasing emotions that you have collected somewhere. For the natives of Taurus, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces can be a period of emotional fertility. Also, it can be a time of great relief as the square with Saturn in Aquarius ends. During this period, Saturn in Pisces can help Taurus develop a greater understanding of and connection to their intuition and emotions, and can also help them examine their deepest values. However, there can be also moments of uncertainty or insecurity due to the emotional and intuitive nature of Pisces and the need for stability and simplicity of Taurus. Saturn in Pisces focuses on the formless, and this can make Taurus uneasy. A spiritual or creative practice that allows you to connect with the body or even with things can help you discover your limitless capacity to appreciate sensations and connect with the magic of being incarnated. For the natives of Gemini, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces can be a period where we feel that our eloquence is not in tune. The focus of this Saturn transit is on taking sensitivity and empathy seriously. Gemini's mental curiosity can feel constrained and sometimes even criticized by those who judge you for not taking things seriously. Saturn asks you to take into account the consequences of your words. These 2.5 years that are beginning are a good period to connect with sensitivity and compassion, but without losing your inner truth. With this transit, we begin a period of challenges and personal and spiritual growth, and it can be very positive despite feeling melancholic from time to time. For the natives of Cancer, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces is a balm. You will feel that everything flows more smoothly. You will be able to connect with your emotions easily, and above all, in a more structured and profound way. You may find opportunities to develop some spiritual discipline that allows you to explore the range of your emotions on intangible levels, as well as receive guidance that allows you to see what you are feeling from a more compassionate point of view. If there are certain tensions in your birth chart during the transit of Saturn in Pisces, you can experience great relief on a personal level. For the natives of Leo, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces will make you face the limitations that don't allow you to give yourself fully to others. The spontaneous and playful attitude of Leo can be restrained by the contemplative seriousness of this Saturn. Saturn seeks to create a strong emotional framework that allows Leo to connect intimately with their imagination and indulge in creative ecstasy without losing their personal expression. The transit of Saturn can show you the emotional fissures that drain your energy, so you can learn to delimit your energetic aura and not confuse your emotions with those of others. For Virgo natives, be it Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, Saturn transits in Pisces will make you feel more introspective and reflective. You may encounter challenges in your relationships, especially your closest ones. You may feel that you are in a moment of reassessing these relationships, and some of them may need to be rethought or even ended. The important thing during this time is to know that Virgo will be learning to establish a real structure in relationships, to define roles, to say yes when appropriate, and to say no when necessary. As a result, intimate relationships become more satisfying. For natives of Libra, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces can arouse an indefinable longing that arouses a certain dissatisfaction in everyday life. Authority figures, whether parents, government, teachers, etc., may seem to redirect your energy towards goals and needs that do not correspond to yours, creating some discomfort. In any case, the transit of Saturn invites you to delve into your spiritual needs. And although you may feel that you have too many responsibilities during this period, you are going through a time for growth and maturation, which requires patience and maintaining a positive attitude during this transit. In this way, you can make the most of its lessons and opportunities. For Scorpio natives, be it Sun, Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces will give a feeling of great relief for Scorpio, who has been going through Saturn square from Aquarius for the last 2.5 years. Scorpio's intense emotional world will stabilize as you find Saturn helping you structure your emotions. You may find a concrete way to express your creativity and find that during this period it is easier to follow a discipline or method that produces concrete results. In general, you will feel much more serene and stable, supported by the reality in which you move. For Sagittarius natives, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces forms a square to the personal planets. Here, we can find moments that, in appearance, can be a bit gloomy. Actually, we get the typical Saturn effect when it brings us down to earth, and being in Pisces, we need to evaluate our personal beliefs and the idealization that keeps us hopeful. It is not about losing the typical Sagittarius optimism, but simply allowing ourselves to see things as they are and getting down to work from the concrete rather than mere enthusiasm. This is a period of challenges and personal and spiritual growth, and it can be very positive despite feeling a bit pessimistic from time to time. For the natives of Capricorn, whether it is the Sun, Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces can connect us with a kinder aspect of reality. Our sense of natural responsibility begins to explore the most intangible part of this existence. We will be evaluating things for a more universal perspective. We may feel more creative, and our perception may become clearer. This is a good time for meditation and introspection, since during this period the emphasis is on self-knowledge. We may feel more optimistic than usual because we now have access to greater sensitivity. For the natives of Aquarius, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, The transit of Saturn in Pisces is a breather after having Saturn in their own sign for more than 2.5 years. However, whatever happens, you may feel relief during this period. Saturn begins a new round of the zodiac for you, which brings hope and the desire to take on new responsibilities after having gone through a very intense period of personal evaluation. This is a good time to connect with what you have learned and give yourself more love and compassion. It is also a good time to include a bit of mysticism and fantasy in your idiosyncrasy, as well as connect with the beauty of the world. For the natives of Pisces, whether it is the Sun, the Moon, or the Ascendant, the transit of Saturn in Pisces is a time of strong evaluation of what has happened during the last 28-30 years. During this time, we will see the reality of our reality. The transit of Saturn shows us the truth of our existence, and if we have surrendered to seeing life more beautiful than it really is, Saturn will not let us continue to do so. Although this may seem harsh, especially for Pisces, the great teacher seeks our self-realization and therefore forces us to evaluate what we are doing so that we can redirect our energy towards something constructive. The natives of Saturn in Pisces are experiencing Saturn's return during these next 2.5 years. This means a new phase of maturation where we cross an important threshold and enter a new stage in our lives.